Hello, my name is Rob. I'm the CEO of Civitas Property Management, and if you're watching this, you're probably considering renting out your property. Now, rental income investing is great when done properly. It is very lucrative. More millionaires have been made through real estate investing than any other field. And it's very fun to focus on what we get out of the deal. We get the check in the mail, the property appreciates, the mortgage is paid down. There is a ton of great stuff. But keep in mind that as you are renting out this property, you're entering into a contract. And while it's fun to focus on their side of the contract, which is paying the rent and taking care of the place, you need to make sure that you're prepared for what it means to be a landlord. Now, in my background, I was an investor long before I was a property manager for other people. And one of my favorite sayings is that good judgment comes from experience, but unfortunately, experience usually comes from bad judgment. So I can tell you, as somebody who managed about a dozen of my own properties, that there are definitely mistakes to be made. And if you're wise, you'll do your research and learn from the mistakes of other people like me so that you don't have to make them yourself. Your responsibilities can fall into three main categories: maintenance, accounting, and compliance. Maintenance is the most obvious, and to be honest, it's probably going to be the most work. It's more simple than just paying for things to be fixed. You need to have licensed vendors ready to go. If you call somebody who's unlicensed, you can end up with a lawsuit on your hands if there's an injury, if they don't have insurance coverage. There's a million ways that can go wrong. The work could not be done well. If it's not up to code, then your insurance might not cover an electrical fire. There's just a million ways that could go wrong. So you need to screen your vendors. You also need to make sure that you have a proper way for the tenants to contact you. And keep in mind, these tenants are going to expect more out of your property and have higher standards for your property than you did when you were living there. Whereas we might look at a scuff on a wall or a small thing in the house and just say, I'll do that next year, and I've got a high light bulb in my closet that's been out forever that I'll do one of these days. A tenant is going to look at that as a maintenance request, a maintenance demand. And they're going to expect it to get taken care of, and so you need to be prepared to deal with all that. If you get a call in the middle of the night, make sure you have an all-night plumber, make sure you have an all-night electrician, an all-night handyman who can go out and take care of that for you. So that's maintenance. Accounting is more than just collecting the check every month, going to the mailbox. First off, you have to remember that it's coming. Believe it or not, and this may sound really stupid, and maybe it was, but back when I was managing my own properties in Southern California, I had another business, I was working full time. Some months I would forget. I would remember my own rent check, but then the first of the month would come and I would forget, I got to make sure that so-and-so paid their rent. And so sometimes they didn't, and it would be the 16th of the month before I followed up with them. And I have to tell you, sometimes you lose a bit of authority when chasing somebody down when the rent is 2 weeks late. So make sure that you have a system to keep track. And I know it sounds so obvious. Oh, the first of every month, I'll remember. You won't. The downside with your own property is it is easy sometimes. And so because it doesn't take a lot of time, it's very easy to just put it in the back of your mind and forget until something breaks. So make sure you're prepared for the accounting side of things, as well as itemizing your expenses, making sure you've written down everything you spent on the property, if there are any late fees, things like that. The third part is compliance. One of the aspects of living here in the Bay Area is we have some of the strictest rent control in the country, and it's changing on a nearly daily basis at this point. New cities are continually adding and strengthening and adding teeth to the existing rent control laws. So make sure that you know how that affects your property. For example, late fees. San Jose just recently increased their rent control laws so that late fees are capped at 5%. You can no longer have a late fee in excess of that. So make sure that you're up to date on things like that, because if you're not, you can end up getting in a lot of trouble. Now, all of that is not meant to scare you off. As I said, I am a huge believer in rental properties and investing. I still own several properties and an apartment building myself. I think it is a great way to invest your money, but just make sure that you're prepared and ready to deal with all the stuff that's going to come from it, and make sure you've done your research. We're always happy to help. We're always happy to offer our advice, so feel free to give us a call here at Civitas Property Management.